Hello everybody, welcome back. We've got the laptop, we're sat at the table today because it's pie chart time. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down all of my different revenue streams as a content creator, influencer, and also now creator, mentor, consultant, coach, thingamabobby. Still clearly don't have a good pitch for that, even though I literally just did a business course to help me all of that, but that's not relevant to today. So, hello, I'm Hannah. If you are new here, this is a regular occurrence on this channel. This will be the eighth year that I've been doing this. That's insane. That's so many years. But this has just become such a staple, regular occurrence, not just for me personally when it comes to reflecting on my business and how things are going and how I want them to go in the future, but also I love the transparency in the creator economy and the influencer world. I'm also somebody who really believes in the importance of diversifying your income. If you're a creator or a freelancer, you know, having all of your eggs in one basket can be very precarious as a worker. And so part of this documentation is showing all of the different ways that I've diversified my revenue streams, but also looking at that could be better, or there's too many eggs in this basket, and just really kind of going in and analyzing what's happened. And then of course, more recently, we're kind of still in post-baby impact on my income, and now also post-career transition impact. So this breakdown and this pie chart that we're going to look at is from the 2024 to 2025 financial year for my business that runs end of March to end of March. And these numbers that we're going to look at are my first full 12 months post career transition. So last year's video was 9 months still doing all of my old stuff and 3 months doing the new stuff. And so now we've got our first full year of the new shit, the new way of life. So that is no sex ed YouTube channel, no podcast, not doing any sex ed work, focusing just on this channel as a lifestyle channel, and then also my creator mentoring work. And lots of things have obviously changed. Also, I don't have a physical studio space that I work from anymore, that I pay rent on. I fully work from home now. And this is also the first 12 months post having my baby that we've got a consistent work schedule, in terms of how I structure my work and how many hours and days a week I work. So in previous years, I was working half days and part-time, and then it increased and all of that. But this 12 months, I have consistently worked 4 days a week, and I generally work from 9:30 till 4:30 because I do the childcare runs. And also in this 12 months, I've had no long breaks for pregnancy or for illness, which have obviously happened in other years as well. So overall this year, this pie chart that we're going to look at, my revenue has dropped again, but not as significantly as it had the year after I had my child. But of course, that's kind of to be expected because I just cut off a huge part of my business that I'm not earning money from anymore. But part of this career transition is that I also cut a lot of my expenses, so it has balanced out. And next week's video will be the expenses of my business breakdown of where the money goes. What am I spending money on? Okay, so before we get into this year's pie chart and all of the numbers and the breakdowns and my thinking behind it all, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Squarespace. So whether you are just starting out in the freelance world or you're a small business owner, Squarespace makes it super easy to create your own beautiful website, engage your audience, and sell anything from physical and digital products to courses and even your time, all in one place and all on your terms. I host my website and other websites for various projects that I've had over the years for years now, and I absolutely love Squarespace. It is just so simple and intuitive to use, and you can really do anything with it with very limited website design experience. There are tons of gorgeous and flexible templates to choose from, and you just pick the one that is right for you, and then you can customize it with your own colors and fonts and images and text and everything, all your branding and assets. And with Squarespace's new design intelligence, it empowers anyone to create their own beautiful and personalized website tailored to you using AI technology. If you have an online store on your website, then Squarespace Payments is the easiest way to manage your payments. Onboarding is really fast and simple, and there are lots of options for your customers for how to pay. And if you're somebody who has a client-based business, then Squarespace has invoicing. So you can manage your clients, track your invoices, and just have a more simplified workflow to manage a service-based business, all on Squarespace. So if you're in the market for a new website, you can head to squarespace.com to start your free trial, have a play around, design it, make it brilliant, and then when you're ready to launch it into the world, you can go to squarespace.com/morehannah to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, let's dive in to this year's revenue streams pie chart. And here it is. Da 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 da, da 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 da. Any big standout things? You're like, let's dive into the details. So, as it has been for the last 8 years, coming in as the biggest slice of the pie is brand deals at 40.1%. Even though it is still the biggest slice of the pie, this is the lowest it has ever been. The first year that I did this, 8 years ago, it was at 80%. And that's when I got terrified and was like, oh shit, I need to diversify my revenue streams because if something happens. And in fact, last year and the previous recent years, it's been around 45%, which I've been really happy with. And so now it's come down to 40%. And overall, in terms of my revenue streams, this has been the biggest decrease. And not just in terms of the relative percentage, but in terms of the actual amount, like money I had earned previously, like last year, to this year. But I have taken on less sponsored work, and I've taken on less higher paid sponsored work. I have less platforms to run ads on, like I don't have my sex ed channel anymore, I don't have the podcast anymore. And also I was able to charge more on the other channel because it was a bigger channel with more views and it was more niche. But I will say brand work is still fairly consistent. Like I have a lot of repeat clients when it comes to brand deals, although there was one repeat client that I've had to sack off because of conflict of values. You may have seen in last year's video, I expressed some doubts about brand deals, and the doubts continue, my friends. I think that I'm quite jaded from being in the industry this long, and also I continue to be politicized and radicalized against just capitalism and mindless consumerism. But as I've said previous years, I am not financially stable enough to just wipe out 40% of my income if I were to, like, on principle, just stop doing brand deals. But the fact that it's going down by itself is just further proof to me that I'm on a path and it's pushing me further down that path. And at the end of this path, I believe, is me doing very little to no brand deals at all, just because I've become so jaded when it comes to influencer marketing, consumerism, and advertising. Honestly, sometimes I give myself the ick, but I just can't financially justify cutting brand deals out of my life. And occasionally a really brilliant one will come along that is so aligned. I think my favorite brand deal that I've done so far this year was a reel that I made for National Theatre Live, and I got to see some of the behind the scenes of how they like turn a play on stage and they film it and goes out to cinemas, and that was just so cool to see behind the scenes and so fun to make that piece of content. So, you know, when shit like that comes up, no brainer. But there's others that I would like to say goodbye to, but I can't yet. And obviously there are ways of doing brand deals that are more aligned with my values, but often those brands that are more aligned with my values don't have any money for influencer marketing. And there is always some compromise, even with brands that I do really like and personally use and work with. Just being a consumer who uses a product is very different from being essentially a salesperson who is trying to advertise a product. So my complicated thoughts on the issue continue. My current business model for brand deals, not by choice, but because of kind of how the industry is and also the type of content that I make and the size of my channel, is that I'm doing lots of brand deals for little money. But again, a lot of them are repeat clients, so it is a more reliable source of income than like waiting for like a big one to come up. I would love to do just a handful of really interesting and creative campaigns that also ideally include like in-person events, just doing something that feels like it's got something tangible attached to it, like an event or a shoot or something. And I did used to do quite a lot of campaigns like that, but they have dried up. And I think it's a mix of it being a pattern in the industry thing, but also a me thing in terms of the stage of my career that I'm at. Like, I've been a creator for 14 years and I've built a really lovely and strong core audience, but I'm not somebody who's like new and fresh and young and all of that. And those people who are new to it also deserve to have like all of those opportunities and success too. But also, since the pandemic, the amount of creators just in the industry has boomed. There are so many more creators now, so it's a lot more saturated. And so in the influencer marketing world, there's more creators, and so dishing out all of the like budgets between those creators, the fees are a lot lower than they were for me like 8 years ago or something. I feel like I chatted about brand deals a lot, but that's a lot of thoughts. Next, my biggest slice of the pie is Patreon, coming in at 28.8%. So last year this was 25%, but basically the percentage has gone up, but actually the amount has gone down. And this to me shows that this is still the healthiest and steadiest slice of my pie, even though it has decreased slightly. And in last year's video, I was very excited about the fact that my Patreon had gone up when I made my career change announcement, and then had kind of like gone back down to where it was before and like has plateaued. And I was thrilled because I had predicted that I would lose about a third of my Patreon income. I still haven't lost a third of my Patreon income, so that's great. But it has been just gradually decreasing over this 12 months, which is understandable, but it still hurts. I don't know why I think that if I'd just like lost a third of them overnight when I said, hey, I'm no longer doing sex ed stuff anymore, rather than it just being like gradually going down. I don't know why I think just a third of people abandoning ship all in one go would be less painful than this. I don't know why. And there's part of me that's like, oh shit, I need to build this back up again because this is my most reliable source of income. But then there's another part of me that's just like, Hannah, it's the different phase. Just leave it. Do what you're doing. Enjoy the community that you have. But I just kind of have to accept that it will not be the same because of the content shift that I made, which I fully predicted. And yet here I am still like, woe is me. But the reason why the Patreon is still so important to me is that it has this established community there. I've had Patreon for over a decade, and that kind of community and that kind of support just clearly doesn't go away overnight, and so I am so grateful. But if I was a new creator making the kind of content that I make now, so this kind of mix of what I'm calling like nerdy and conscious lifestyle content, I wouldn't say to that creator that Patreon is a platform that makes sense for them to monetize on. Like, lifestyle content and Patreon is not an obvious fit, and I think it only continues to work for me because of the legacy that I have built there. And so that leaves me having complicated feelings about it. Clearly I have lots of complicated feelings about my job still. Even though, and this is something that I tell a lot of my clients who I work on Patreon strategy with them, is that your patrons are adults who can make their own financial decisions. We have a lot of like icky feelings around money, around asking for money, a lot of guilt and shame. But when it comes to your community, your fans, your audience, your viewers, like whatever you want to call them, wanting to financially support you, they are adults who can make their own financial decisions. I am somebody who pays other creators and supports them on Patreon, and most of them, I couldn't care less about receiving the perks of them. I'm just like, I like what you're doing, I want you to keep doing it, have some money. But here's an actual thing I've been thinking about when it comes to Patreon. So I currently have 3 tiers that are all like different. There's different like levels of support and perks. What if, dare I say this out loud? What if I still have the 3 tiers, so like low, medium, high support financially, but everyone gets everything. So it's like a pay what you can or want to situation. Is this a terrible idea? And everyone would drop down to the lowest tier and essentially slash my Patreon income in half. But would that reconcile a lot of these feelings that I have about Patreon and being a lifestyle content creator. Even though we have like the Discord server and the community, and that is something that I definitely think should be paywalled, and we have the book club and live streams and like lots of other stuff going on. But would it make me feel better if I just kind of did a everyone gets everything thing? But the split between like the lower tier and the middle tier is like 55%, 45%. Like it's like pretty even. So if all of those people were like, oh, jump, fine, adults who can make their own financial decisions, but it's quite a scary prospect. I don't know. Is it a great idea? Is it a terrible idea? I don't know. Next up, we have Adsense coming in at 17.1%. So this is Google AdSense. These are the ads that I can't really control that appear on my videos. Or also, if you pay for YouTube Premium, it's my cut of that as well, which I would highly recommend you get YouTube Premium because one, the creators earn more money from your premium subscription than they do from ads. And also you don't have to watch ads. And then you also get YouTube Music included in it as well. Anyway, there's my little YouTube ad. But oh my God, when I logged into somebody else's account or like accidentally not logged into my YouTube account and I get a YouTube ad, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm so used to not having ads. So this was 15% last year. And this is another case of the actual amount being slightly down, but the percentage up slightly. So this is probably just because this is my first full year of only having one YouTube channel that I'm uploading on instead of two. But this is the channel with the better RPM, CPM. And essentially what that is cost per meal, cost per 1,000 views. Different types of content on YouTube get paid differently by the advertisers that advertise on them. Sex ed content, not very desirable. Not a lot of advertisers want to advertise there or can advertise there depending on what their brand is. And the Google AdSense system works like an auction. So the really desirable spots are going to be really expensive. And essentially that is content that's about credit cards or real estate, or those videos have really high CPMs. Lifestyle content for me has always had much better CPMs than obviously the sex ed stuff. Interestingly, the videos that have the highest CPM, usually for me, anything that's about consumerism, anything that's about buying things. If it's a fashion thing, but I've like purchased, even if it is like secondhand clothes, that has higher CPM. The video where I bought things based on the Instagram ads that I was receiving, high CPM. The video that I did where I bought things from my followers' small businesses, even though the whole point of that was about like supporting small businesses and like shopping more consciously and ethically, really high CPM because the video itself is about consumerism. And so it's like, oh, these people watching this are interested in shopping, so we can serve them ads. I don't know. That's my little spiel and explanation about CPM. So CPM is how much the advertisers pay, and then the RPM is how much you, the creator, receive. The R stands for revenue per meal. Yeah, this was fairly similar to last year. So as usual, brand deals, Patreon, and AdSense are my three biggest slices of the pie. Now we're just gonna go through in no particular order because there's lots of other smaller slices of the pie. So affiliate marketing. This comes in at 1.6%. Last year it was 3.6%. This is massively down in percent and in actual amount. The affiliate side of things and the brand deals side of things are my biggest losses in terms of like actual amount since stopping the sex ed stuff. And that's because the vast majority of income that I earned through affiliate marketing was through sex toys. If you don't know, affiliate marketing is basically where you get like your own trackable links for products and you earn commission if any purchases are made through your links. Now here's the thing, there is huge money to be made in affiliate marketing when it comes to lifestyle content. Like think of the amount of like clothes that I could be selling to you, beauty, makeup, skincare, home decor, like all of these things have affiliate marketing. But I don't want that life. I don't want it. I've got affiliate links with bookshop.org, who you can buy your books from and support local bookshops. But that barely earns me any money. So most of the money that I do still get from affiliate links is just from people still using my old sex toy links, which have discounts on them. So, you know, go wild. Love that. Those links are still there. You can still go and find them in old video descriptions. You're welcome. And I think a lot of my complicated feelings about brand deals also apply here in terms of why there is huge potential here for me to be earning more, but I'm just like, no, thank you. No, thank you. Next up, we have podcasts coming in at 0.1%. And last year, this was 3%. Obviously, I don't have a podcast anymore. I don't have a podcast that I'm actively producing and posting. And that is for the first time since we started making Banging Book Club in 2016. So this is my first time in like 9 years not having a podcast. That's wild to me. I never would have considered myself a podcaster, but 9 years is a pretty long time to have been podcasting. Or 8 years, because I guess we can't include this last year. And I've been very grateful for that break because, oh my goodness, podcasts are hard to make and hard to monetize. But I do still feel that there is this little podcast project hole in my life. And I do have an idea, but I also know too much about making podcasts that I'm like, I don't feel equipped and emotionally and financially and mentally ready to take that on right now. But I do have this idea that has just been sat in my brain for I don't know, at least 2-3 years maybe. I think for this podcast idea to get made, it's gonna come down to the circumstances have to be right, or there has to be a partner or somebody else who comes in and is just as invested in the idea as me, and we can make it happen together. I don't know. But this 0.1% is actually Banging Book Club money, because the Banging Book Club podcast is still out there and ads run on it, and so every so often, every few months, I get a little payment from that. And it wasn't until I was looking at all of my revenue streams and my finances from this last year to make this video that I learned that doing it, my podcast that I had for the last 5 or so years, earned nothing. Zero. I earned nothing. And I'm very suspicious because that should not be the case. It makes no sense because Banging Book Club earns money still, all of these years later, even if it is pennies. So I need to have words with my podcast host and my manager just to be what the fuck is going on there? Because the podcast still exists. It's still out there. People are listening to it. Please let me know if you've listened to any episodes of doing it in the last year. Did you get served ads on that? Anyway, seems quite dodgy to me, if I'm being honest. So I need to look into that because that podcast should have earned something. I mean, even when I was actively posting to it and releasing episodes, the money was fuck all. But come on, what's going on here? Next up, we have events and speaking coming in at 2.7%. Last year, 0.9. And I said last year that I wanted to do more of this. And it did increase slightly, so yay, but it is still small though. So this last year, this 2.7% included doing a talk at Stoma Tips Learning Day in Birmingham. I hosted the creator stage at Creator Fest last year. I did a talk/interview with Passion Fruit for their commuter club, which was talking about YouTube to a bunch of different brands and marketing people. And I was also on Sarah Mills's Bad Bod Squad for BBC Radio 4 talking about having a stoma. And so yeah, all of these are really quite different, but really fun. I love events and speaking, and I want to do more of them, and I want to be paid for doing more of them. Please and thank you. I say that, but I don't actually have a strategy in terms of pitching myself for these kinds of things. I just kind of put it out there and then hope things come to me. I don't, again, have the capacity to go really hard in terms of putting myself out there and pitching myself, but maybe someday in the future. Next up, we have brand consultancy, and this is 1.4%. Last year, it was quite a chunky 4.9. Last year, there was one specific consultancy thing that was quite long-term, that was paid quite well. This year, I think there's only one thing that I've done, which was some research and giving feedback on some YouTube products as a creator. And I love doing that. I love it when YouTube asks my opinion on things, and I'm like, let me tell you, YouTube, because here's the situation. But yeah, the YouTube teams are always so brilliant in terms of involving creators in their product design and then paying creators for their time and their feedback. But speaking of consultancy, here we have the slice of the pie for my creator consulting work, and it is coming in at 7.1%. Last year it was 0.5, but obviously I'd only been doing it for 3 months at that point. This is the first full year of it, and I'm well pleased with that 7.1. I'm really pleased with how last year went. I feel like I just kind of like threw myself into like whatever opportunities came my way. It has slowed down for 2025, but that's because I've been focusing more internally in terms of like, what is it that I want to be doing? What services do I actually want to offer? Again, with the business course that I did, like, what's my value proposition? What's my USP? I've been doing more of the kind of like behind the scenes foundational work. And so I have not been marketing myself at all. I have worked with a few clients so far this year, but I haven't like been pushing it. But I feel ready to start really talking about what it is that I'm doing, what I can help creators with, and promoting it. I'm like, when is this video coming out? Will there be stuff ready to see? I don't know. Look at my website. Maybe it's been updated, my Squarespace website. But also get in touch and sign up to my Creator Talks newsletter, because that will be where there'll be information about my services, but also any like community events and workshops that I'm hosting. So if you are a creator, that's the best place to be kept up to date about all of those kinds of things. Okay, but I'm really pleased with that 7.1. And you know, hopefully that keeps growing, although like maybe not this year because I've spent so long like knuckling down on the behind the scenes stuff. But hopefully like long term that builds and can start to replace a lot of the brand deals and affiliate stuff. Then we have writing coming in at 1.1%. For some reason, I've not written down here what it was last year, but it was probably similar. But this is book royalties. I wrote 2 books. In 2017 and 2019, they were published. Doing It and The Hormone Diaries. The Hormone Diaries has not earned out its advance, sad for that book. But Doing It did very quickly, and so I do still earn royalties from that book. And then also this year, I wrote an article for Patreon all about like my 10 years on Patreon, and that was paid. Love that, thank you Patreon. And then we've got usage rights coming in at a sexy 0.1%. I think this is just one contract, I think, this last year. Usage rights is essentially when a brand wants to use some content of yours. Maybe it's content that you originally made for them as part of a brand deal, but you know, your usage rights in terms of how long they can use that for to promote on their own platforms and channels is limited. And so if they want to continue using it, they have to pay you again because they're using your image and something that you made. They're basically licensing that content because you still own it all. So yeah, I think we just licensed one piece of content that a brand wanted to like use in something. And that's great. It's just like extra money, but for no extra work. Okay, there we have it. We got through it eventually with all of the complicated feelings. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive and this look into creator finances and revenue streams. I love doing this every year, even just for me in terms of keeping stock and checking in on where I'm at, especially checking in on those complicated feelings about things, but then being realistic about what I can or can't do about them yet. Would love to hear your thoughts as well as viewers, as audience members, or maybe if you're a creator yourself, yeah, how you feel and think about some of these things, especially like with brand deals and affiliate marketing, like how you feel about them from your side as well. I know that I can hold myself to high standards, but then I'm also like sabotaging myself in the process. Those standards are very important to me and help me sleep at night. But there we go. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's video, which is going to be a breakdown of my expenses. So my business expenses from the last 12 months. I hope you're doing well and I will see you in the next one. Bye.